Alright, Title 2020, year 2024, Code of Georgia, Title 20, Education, Chapter 3, Post-Secondary Education, Article 7, Scholarship Loans and Grants, Part 1A, Non-Public Post-Secondary Educational Institution, 25, 350, short title, should be the partnership was donated with a non-public post-secondary educational institution act in 1990. Alright, agent is definitions of the evidence of the term of the meaning of the dance of the person and channel of the interest of the representation and the enumeration of the non-public secondary with the education institute with the outside with the solicitation with the form made with the rule seek with the role of the resident with the education of the institution who with the officer of the war with the education credential remuneration on the behalf of each institution with the withhold himself with herself with the resident with the representative of the non-public secondary with the educational institution and such for purpose for the two reserve authorizing operating like term of the meaning of the authorization convention with the operative of the country with the operative of the non-public secondary with the education with the state with the country with the non-public secondary activities board of trustee board with the board of trustee with the tuition with the guarantee with the trust fund provided with the end of the code section 23 257 and 27 with the diploma stream of the document including satisfactory with the completion of the training with the core of the program study with not lending leading to the post-secondary with the degree with the offer of the non-public secondary with the educational institution with the commission with the non-public secondary education with the commission with the provide with the code section 203254 course of the means with the planning with the program instructions with the conduct with the person with the mail with the other permits with the day with the notice with the meaning with the day with the notice with the mail with the executive with the director with the education with the education with the limited with the meaning with the not limited with the meaning with the course with the class course of the program training with the instructions with the testing education with the credential with the must certificate degree with the transcript with the rule of the document letter with the designation mark of the appeal series of letters number of the words with the significant purpose with the general with the technique take with the significant enrollment with the significant process with the and satisfy with the completion with the prerequisite with the education with the non-post secondary with the educational institute with the end with the meaning with the not limited to the company with the firm with the society association partnership with the corporation with the trust with the executive with the director with the executive with the director with the non-public post secondary with the education with the donation with the gross tuition meaning with the total amount with the collective with the post secondary with the education with the two with the term with the most with the recent with the completed 12-month fiscal year with the reduce with the amount with the refund with the pay with the term with the fiscal year with the tuition with the application with the fees registration 50 with the other fee with the deal with the team with the property rule with the regulation with the commission with the provided have with the post secondary with the education with the institution located with the outside with the state with the authorized with the purpose of the advertising with the recruitment with the state with the authorized with the purpose with the offering and with the course with the telecommunication with the electronic media with the technology combination with the purpose gross with the wish and meaning with the only with the balance with the tuition with the fees collect with the resident with the state with the wealth such with the resident with the reside with the state with the non-public over the private with the post secondary with the educational with the institute with the non-established with the governor with the state with the doors with the any public with the private with the post secondary with the education with the legally operative with the none of the state with the nation with the conduct with the post secondary activities in Georgia over the post secondary instruction leading to the post secondary with the degree with the certified with the grant with the Georgia with the resident with the located outside with the Georgia with the notice for the post secondary with the educational with the tuition made with the written correspondence with the set with the address ready with the legal with the name with the applicant with the certificate authorization provided with the part with the owner of the post secondary with the educational with the tuition made with the post secondary with the education with the institute with the owner of the individual with the individual that the individual and the post secondary with the education with the entity with the partnership with the full sign with the limited with the partner with the key with the post secondary with the education with the institute with the owner with the cooperative with the corporation each of the shareholder the owning insurance with the issue of the outstanding share with the gains with at least 10% of the total of the issue with the outstanding share with the person with the meaning of the individual of the firm and the partnership with the association cooperation with the other private entity post secondary with the degree with the meaning of the confident with the conferring with the breach with the there with the associated with the bachelor with the master with the special with the doctor with the equivalent significant identifying education with the attainment based on the study with the substantive with the study in the form of the equivalent stream with the achievement of the test with the combination for the foregoing with the vibe with the post secondary with the degree not include the honorary with the degree with the so-called unearned degree of the post secondary activity meaning with the awarding post secondary degree with the certificate with the officer with the offering with the study with the experience with the testing with the individual with the field with the profession with the associate with the public health with the public wealth with their public safety to determine the commission with the soul with the degree for the post secondary with the education with the need for the post secondary degree granting the certificate grant with the non-public college with the university with the proprietor of the school with the offering entry with the educational with the primary with the person with the have complete with the terminate with the secondary with the education with the beyond with the age of the compulsory with the high school with the attendance and sole proprietorship with the group with the partnership with the venture with the society with the company with the company with the cooperation with the school with the control with the college with the university with the other institute with the engaged with the purpose with the engaged with the intent with the engaged with the type of the post secondary activity the proprietary school meaning with any business enterprise with the operative with the profit the non-profit the base with the maintain with the place with the business state with the solicitor with the business with the state with the non-specifically exempted with the code section 23 350 23 through 153 with the operative with the course of instruction with the such available to drill with the classroom and instruction with the course with the telecommunication electronic media the technology technology, and the combination of the person with the person with the purpose of training such person with a person with a work with a business trip with a technical industrial occupation, preparing such person with a person with tasting with a passing certificate exam with a work with a business trip with a technical industrial occupation, with a school employee with a means with a person with the other with an owner with identifying with a paragraph 14 with a code section with a directly indirect with a receive the compensation with a post secretary education with an institution with a range with a two with a mean with a person with a country with a pay with a receive with a core with a defined paragraph with a C with a code sections with a supported mean with a primary so with a head and primary with a war with a post secretary with education with a arrive with a venue with a report with the operation, telecommunication, electronic media technology, with the media, with the delivery mode, with the utilize, with not limited to the television, video cassette, with the disc, with the film, radio, with the computer, with the sword, with the device, with the base, and with the audio, with video format. To grant, with the means, with the award song, with the conferring, with the bestowing, with the giving, to offer, with the means of the addition, with the use, with the means, with the advisor, with the publicizing, soliciting, with encouraging, any of the person, with directly, indirectly, any of the form, performing, the act, with the describe, with the operative, with the educational institute, with the lifetime, with the means, with the established, with the maintain, with the facility, with the location, with the day, with the which with the educational officer with the given and the credential educational credential with the offered granted and with the contract with the writing with any of the person of the group with any of the woman and such acts of the conduct personal activity to stay with the local location outside of the stay with the correspondence with the by the telecommunication electronic media technology provided with such of the educational institution specifically recruit with the person located within the state that has physical presence of the state with the tuition guarantee fund with the fund meaning with the tuition guarantee with the fund provided with the code section 23 250 27. Alright, previously with the following educate with the post ticket with the education with the exemption with the from this pro with the expressly with the container with the upon qualification mention with the pursuing with the subsection E with the code section NC with the closure with the option with the instruction with the NE with the all the level of preschool with the group with the 12th grade with regardless of the age of the student. Education with the bona fide with the trade with the business with the professional with the fraternal with the organization so with the reckoning with the convention with the show with the degree with the not agreeing with the degree with the society with the organization with the membership with the officer with the unknown fee with the development with the license with the industry the recognized certification provided with the show with the recognized by the convention so with the degree with the not agreeing the degree with the education solely evocation of the recreation with the nature with the short core with the determining with the convention with the show with the degree with the inch of the offering such with the education with the not granting degrees post-secondary education with the inch of the use established with the operative with the governmental license with the pilot state with the agent with the political subdivision with the determinative with the commission with the flight school which hold the applicable with the federal air agent with the certificate issued with the administrator with the federal aviation administrator with the non-public profit post-secondary education with the demonstrator with the annual with the satisfaction with the mission purpose with the soul with the provide with the program study with the theology with the divinity with the religious with the educated with the ministry with the training with the do not agree with the post-secondary with the degree with the non-religious with the nature with the such institution except with the non-federal with the state with the fund with the except with the no-state with the federal state with the education low to attend with such institute with the subject with the requirements subsection C with the code section 23 256 with the non-public law school with the American with the bar associated with the principal officer with the campus with the located within the state with the non-qualified with the exemption with the other paragraph with the subsection with the provided tower with the any with the non-public law school shall be subject with the provision code section 23 250 14 with the purpose of the satisfied with the requirement of the title 34C of the R section 66843B with the shall with the designated with the commission with the receipt with the complaint with the student with the public law school with the prerequisite with the non-public law school with the acceptance with the federal with the student with the financial aid with the funds provided with the federal with the designated with the provided done with the paragraph with the provided with the wholly with the extent with the necessary with the institution complying with the non-public law school with the law with the rails regulation for governing with the federal student with the financial with the aid with the trouble and non with the resigned with the subject with the pre-existing authorization chart with the recognition non-public post-secondary with the educational with the duty of the conduct with the pro-secondary with the direction with the campus with the located with the premise with the military and with the nation-based below with the with the left with the Department of Defense with the carefully recover with the commission with the due instruct with the authorized with the such and with the duties and scope with the sole push with the instructional program with the review with the preparations with the occupation with the examination record with the governing agent with the bona fide with the grade business fraternal with the organization with the student occupation with the training received with the school with the employment with the experience with the operative with the bank of the student eligible to sit with the for examination subject with the requirement of the subsection C with the code section 23 256 with the public of the non-profit with the college with the university with the granting of the baccalaureate with the degree with the principal with the office of the campus with the located with the chair with the edge with the relay with the graduate with the professional program and have with the existing standard more year with the non-public non-profit with the college with the university with the credit with the national with the regional with the credit to the agent with the recognized with the United States with the Department of Education provided with the non-public non-profit with the college university so with the provision code section 23 250 14 with the purpose of the satisfying with the requirement of title 43 in CFR with the code section 668 with the 430B with the show with the design with the commission with the recipient complaint with the student with the non-public non-profit college with the university prerequisite with the non-public non-profit college with the university except with the federal student financial aid funds part of the destiny with the provided done with the paragraph with the upper office over the extent of the ministry with the institution of the compliance with the non-public non-profit college with the university law with the regulation governing the lateral student Financial affiliation with the non-effect with the preside with the supersede with the pre-existing authorization chart with the recognition subject with the requirement of the subsection C with the code section 23256 with the liberal arts college with the junior with the principal office campus located with the relay with the graduate with the professional with the program with the FSD with the chart with the school with the chapter with the 1955 known public non-profit with the degree with the granting with the institution provide with the credit with the regional with the national with the accredited agent with the recognized with the United States with the Department of Education and provide with the associate with the liberal arts with the college with the university subject with the provision code section 23254 14 purpose of the statute with the requirement of title 4034 code fair to regulation 666843B with the designation with the commission with the recipient complaint with the student with the liberal arts with the college with the university pre-requisite with the library arts with the university except with the federal financial and with the further with the designation with the provide with the end of this paragraph shall to be solely examined with the necessary institution complying with the liberal arts with the college university the law regulation with the federal with the financial of the aid still in effect with the resign supersede with the pre-existing authorization chart with the recognition institution with the offering with the educate with the training with the income tax with the income tax return with the preparation with the total contract with the private with the educate with the training with the does not exceed with the $1,000 with the provided over the chart with the incur with the student with the instruction with the other instruction and soul with the wave vocation with the recreational in the nature provided with the paragraph 3 of subsection with the does not exceed with the $1,000 with the one over the calendar year with the subject with the requirement of subsection C with the code section 23256 non-public medical school with the accredited with the liaison committee with the medical educator with the national with the regional with the accredited agency with the recognized with the United States with the Department of Education with the non-public health with the DONIC with the school with the resident program with the accredited with the commission with the dental with the accreditation with the American Dental Association sponsored by a hospital accredited with the national accredited agency the recognized center with the Medicare with the Medicaid service with the post-secondary education with the NCA with the accredited with the region national with the regional accreditation agency with the recognized with the United States with the Department of Education with the provided health with the U.S. DONIC school resident program with the meeting with the requirements of paragraph with the March 4th of the 2009 with the show with the requirement with the maintain with the provided proof of the surety bound with the letter with the credit with the annual commission with the amount of $452,000 for the 5 year with the affidavit with the qualification prior with the exemption provided with the subsection A with the college university with the convert with the both with the associate with the background with the higher with the degrees with the credit with the southern associate with the college and school with the college with the division and cooperative with the priority status with the previously accepted with the subsection of the priorities proprietary institution with the subsequent chain with the operative with the non-profit state with the provide with the $200,000 surety bonds with the contributed tuition guarantee with the trust fund with the pursuant of the code section 230 250 with the provided tower with the staff of the college university subject with the provision code section 230 250 with the purpose of transfer with the requirement of title 4034 of CFR with the code section 66843B with the same with the commission with the recipient complaint with the student with the college university with the prerequisite with the staff of the college university accepting the federal student with the financial with the provided for with the designation provided with the end of the paragraph with the provided solely with the extent this with the institution compliance with the college university with the laws regulation with the federal student age with the agency A with the shell and with the resign with supersede with the pre-existing authorization charter recognition so with the otherwise provide with the subsection A with the code section with the non-post-secondary educational institution students participate either in state with the federal funding with the student aid with the financial aid with the program specified with the covered by with the part post-secondary with the educational institute with the which have with the grant with the exemption with the provision with the part with the paragraph 6 with the subsection A with the code section subsequent with the subsequent with the annual statement of the commission with the firm with the institute to continue with the requirement accepted as listed with the paragraph 6 with the subsection code with the subsection A with the code section with the statement that is submitted with the U with the form of the program with the commission with the mayor with the information with the form concerned with the name of the program style with the officer with the title degree diploma certificate other credential with the convert with the institution qualified with the exempt staff with the main include with the component class components with the subject with the non-religious nature with the relation but related to the church with the related to work performance to be provided with the institution commission when they authorize the annual visitation by with the commission staff of the institution except for the post-secondary of the educational institution except for the part with the pursuing with the paragraph 4 with the subsection A with the code section of the commission still established promulgate the rules regulations policies education post-secondary educational institute with the established qualification with exemption with the range of the assessment exemption with the provided under subsection A with the code section non-post-secondary educational commission membership. So we have the established for the non-post-secondary education for the membership with the travel to be provided with the pursuant of the subsection B within B1 with the code section shall be appointed with the governor with the confirmed with the state with the members of the commission with the terms of 3 years each of the members of the show serve with the term and the officer with the person that is appointed with the until the consent of the appointed with the firm qualified except for the provided otherwise with the code section members appointed to succeed themselves will not serve with more than two full consecutive years at least one member of the commission with them appointed with the representative of the degree with the granting with the non-public post-secondary of the education at least one of the members appointed with the representative of the non-public post-secondary of the institute with the grant certificate only With at least one member for the appointed with the reps for the exemption for the educator for the post-secondary for the education with the institute with the providing subsection A with the code section 23.253 with the remaining member of the employee with the other one with the reps with the head of the institute for the non-post-secondary with the education 1 to 2. B1 with the membership with the term of the appointment with the which end with the end with the July 1st, 2008 with the complete with the term of the July 1st, 2008 with the F with the concurrent with the paragraph with the 1 with the subsection with the mission consent with the 11 members with the appointment with the pursuant with the requirement of the code section. The commission with the job elect with the members of the chairperson with the self with the other officer with the consent with the necessary with the show with the 1 year for the term with the officer for the main with the elected such themselves. Vacant with the with the commission ship with the expiration of the term ship with the show with the government the appointment with the except for the meeting with the requirement with the vacated position with the firm with the senate with the show with the remainder with the young expired with the term of the office. C with the commission shall with the meet with the least orderly with the call with the chairperson for the written petition of the majority of the commission. With the members of the commission who serve with the compensation with the presentation of the voucher with the author of the chairman's first of the commission with the author of the executive director each of the members and tell with the retrieve each of the day with the expense and the curve with the carrying out with the official of the business same with the daily expense with the allowance with the travel the millage with the allowance the authorized member of the general assembly the inventory with the concurrent with the appointment with the commission with the constitute quorum with the contact with the business any with the person appointed with the commission within the Senate is not in session made with the commission without Senate confirmation for the youth until the Senate acts on the appointment. Ministry of the General Powers and Duties. The Commission still assigned with the Georgia for the doing for the Financial Commission for the purpose of only the Commission for the budget for the executive the branch for the state with the Commission shall with the following powers of the duties shall with the props to give it a team with the rule for the regulation power with the carrying of the provision with the power with the orderly with the operation of the Commission. Effectively with the purpose of the power of the Commission of America with the Department of the Division Board of the Bureau of the Commission of the agencies today with the trust of the agent for the information commission expressly with the property with the power with the performance of the duties done with this part. The established minimum credit for the year conformity with the code section 23.256 with the quality of the education, ethical business, for the health and safety official over the responsible for the applicant with the authorization operation with meet the authorization be issued with the continue with the authorization effect with the criteria with the develop with the paragraph with the meet of the effect with the person with the power with the non-reviewable hinder with the legitimate education and the visitation and negotiate with the enter with the insert state with the reciprocal agreement with a similar agent for the other state with the United States with the Department of Education Development Commission. Such agreements are with help with effect with the purpose of the power with the notifying with the continuing with the self with the reciprocal agreement is construed with the limitation commission with the executive director power with the duty responsible with the investigation and independently acting on application of the rise to operate with the renewal of the self with the authorization operate with the non-public host with the education with the respect with the enforcement of the provision with any of the rules regulation promulgated for this part from remote with the regulation proceed with the necessary with the deprived with the do with the conduct with the work for the implementation of the whole of the church of the hearing with the maybe the derived with the recover with the love of the developing set of the rules regulation proceed with any with the investigation inquire with the delegate see with the director of the administrator with the power with the duty in addition with the power with the team with the duties together with the director of the otherwise specified in this part with the reasonable and necessary with the care of the active part with the establishment of the ministry of the organization procedures part maybe the necessary reasonable and necessary with the care of this part extra with the power with the duties simplified with the annuity with the subsection conformity over the pro with the judgment with the mission with the necessary and the order to carry out with this part submit annually the House of the Higher with the Education Committee with the House House of the Education Committee with the Senate Education Youth Committee with the Senate Higher Education Committee with the annual with the written reporting summary with the active of the Commission with the regard with the responsible the active with the administrator with this part receive all of the property equipment and with the money material with the contract with the other state with the federal the local public private school with the other any individual with the legal any with the provisions of the active with the Commission with the deemed necessary. 10. Establish it with the promulgate rule with the regulation with the qualified with the project institution with the student with the receive with the tuition with the equalization with the grants according with the criteria with the subset paragraph with B and the paragraph 2 with the code section 2341. 1. Executive Director of the non-public secondary of the education of the commission of the governor of the executive director of the ministry of the provision of the provided subsection of the provided with the rules regulation from policy of the commission of the executive director shall have the following power of the duty of the employee such person will may be the necessary of the care of the provision of the power of the connection of the develop the job of the description set for the personnel of the receiver the investigator the stream of the deemed necessary of the act upon with the application of the authorization operate with the non-public the most secretary of the educational institution may separate into live with the degree of the grant with the non-public educational institution with a non-degree with the post-secondary education for the authorized operative of the state when this professor listed available the information with the public receive the call with the maintain permanent live file copy to the active and then records conform with the code section 23.250.17 investigate as she of the may deem necessary his or her own issue with the reform of the complaint with the logic of his or him or her any person from the group of the subject with the reasonable to leave it in him and her with the subject with the jurisdiction with the power with the connection with the subpoena with any of the person but can record with the document brings us investigation submitting with the enforcement of the court of the crowd with the writing over the oath the question propounded with the him and over the administration with the oath of the information with any of the first connection with the investigation To administer with the compliance with the according with the standard with the rules, regulation, policy with the commission shall establish separate with the listing with the degree granting institution, non-degree granting institution, stand with the rules, regulation, policy with the adopted with the commission, pursuant to the power with the identified listing with the stand with the rules, regulation, policy with the applicable. Commissioners will be authorized to provide the biannual of the review of the previously authorized program and instruction in the institution on the receipt of the accreditation, national and regional with accreditation, agency of the recognized with the U.S. United States, the Department of Education, the Commission with the promulgated guidelines shall be filed executive order, executive directive of the recommending with the biannual of the program review to the Commission. Minimal standard with the education of the institutions. Alright, we have the establishing clarity with the paragraph 2, subsection review of the code, section 23-255 of the commission with the shall the recover the non-post secretary of the issue with the must maintain with the operative with the indicator with the new with the industry with the maintain with the maintain with the operative with the compliant with the following minimum stream with the quality with the concept with the with the course of the program and with the training stability such may with the reasonable adequate equivalently achieve with the objective with the course program and the option with the institution with the adequate stream with the equipment in the library with the physical with the facility with the institution with the material with the personal provide with the education good quality. Education with the qualification of the director of the administrator, the supervisor of the instruction, such as the reasonable, the entry of the students, with the pursuit of the educate for the consistent with the objective of the course of the program, study with each of the director of the instructor, the satisfactory of the meet, educate for the qualification of the requirement established with the commission. The institution provides the student with the other interest of the person with the category of the written description of the contain with the information described of the program with the other offer for the program, and with the length of the program schedule, with the tuition fee, with the other charge, with the expense, with the necessary, with the completion of the course, with the cancellation, with the refund policy, consistent with the adopted commission with the prior year enrollment, the graduation job placement, the rates for the show for the material, with the actions of the institution, with the core for the instruction, the regional likely the effect with the decision of the student enroll therein together with the in the disclosure, especially for the executive, the director of the rules, regulation, and the commission, such as the information provided with the perspective of the student with the prior to the enrollment, the upon satisfactory completion of the training with the student, with the give it up with the appropriate with the education credit and for the show for the institution, the indicate with the show for the course of the instruction, the student had satisfactory for the completed by the said for the student, adequate record for the maintain with the instructions, shall with the attendant for the group is the grade with the satisfactory stand with the for the religion with the attendant with the progress and performance. Institution maintain with the operative with the compliant with the pertaining ordinance law with the include with the rules, regulation, relative to safety and health, with the all with the personnel with the premise with the aid of the institution, financial sound with the capability of fulfilling the commitments to the student with the institution does not engage with the advertising share with the collection of the credit with the other practice with any of the type of the festival with the deceptive with the misleading unfair with the chief of the executive, the officer with the trustee with the director with the officer with the administrator with the supervisor with the agent with the staff, instruct for the good reputation with the character of each institution, educate for the director with the mate, the requirement of the established commission with the position with the requirement of the show with the substantial with the predominant course of offering with the institution, the student housing owned with the maintain with the appointed with the institution purpose with the safety adequate with the meet all the local fire safety and health codes, institution maintain with the reachable the proper policy, consider the thing with the adopted with the commission with the refund with the used unused portion with the tuition fees with the housing with the dominatory with the fee for the any with the charge of it and with the student with the enroll with the institution begin with the close course with the withdrawal of the discontinued the air from the prior completion with the policy with the account with the cost of the institution not diminished with the failure of student with the complete with the course of the instruction. The institution maintain with the policy of the allowing the student to maintain 72 hours of the day with the contract with the agreement with the cancel with the contract with the resign with the agreement with the becoming the student with the institution with the event with the self with the cancellation recession student shall have the receive with the refund with the total fund tuition fee with the pay for the institution with the time of the connection with the execute with the contract with the agreement so the policy clearly state with the written contract agreement where the student attending the institution with the institution continuously condition with the place with no such form and those recover the commission set forth with the proceed with the following complaint with the commission with the former alleged violations of the part. I move the cover the with the subsection A with the code section with addition with the executive with the director with the good caution with the advice with the commission with the amendment with the modify with the substitute with the internal with the stuff with the criteria with the necessary with the life will become a special with the nature of the objective of the operation of the post-secondary educational institution. Institution of the exhibit the certification parts of the paragraph 7 of the 10 of 11 and 13 with the subsection A of the code section 23 253 with the with the need with the stream of the financial soundness being with the capable of the fulfilling commitment with the assume with the provide with the paragraph 8 with the subsection A with the code section with the capable of the requirement each such institution with the commission with the audit with the financial statement with the perform with the independent certified public account with the of the time with the commission with the commission with the main approval with the fee that be paid with the precise with the institute with the offset with the cost receipt with the reviewing or the financial statement the installation of otherwise except for the revision with the parts of under subsection C with the code section 23 through 53 with the required submit with the annual financial report to the commission applying with the annual with the renewal with the exemption with the authorized using the report form provided with the commission with addition with the institution otherwise certain with the provision with the part with the paragraph 10 subsection A with the code section 23 253 So for the requirement of the code section 253, 253.8, with 23, 250.10, and 23, 250.27, and report of the governor of the general assembly required of the subsection A of the code section 23, 250.27, and include the ceremony of the commission fine with the review of the audited financial statement that required of the subsection of the commission authorized to adopt the rule pertaining to the content, format, financial reports of the submitted of the post-secondary educational institute with applying authorization to operate within the state. Prohibited activities. Okay, no person, group of the data will ever come along with or in concert with the others shall be operated with a chair with a non-public school with a secondary education with a conduct with a post-secondary activity unless his current certificate validated authorized exam with the director of the post-secondary institute with a post-secondary degree certificate resident Georgia for the location outside of the state by correspondence with a telecommunication electronic media technology issue with a current certificate valid authorization. Solicit without being authorized, except for the director to do so without being bonded if required by the code section 22, 3, 25010, making cause and made with the statement of representation, oral, written, visual, with connection with the offering of the publicizing, court for the in such person with the known, reachable, the known, with the statement of the representing for all of the substantial and inaccurate, misleading. Instruct and educate, offer and instruct for the educate, indicate, including advertising, soliciting with the instead for the purpose of the enroll with the offer with the enroll with the contract with the offer of the contract with the enroll contract with any of the persons as the person on the board, any of the educational credential with the contract with the institute for the party with the perform such activity in this state, whether such a person, group of the entity located with the outside of the state, unless such of the person or group of the entity with the observer that complying with the minimum set and standards set forth in Code Section 23, 256 criteria established by the Commission pursuant to paragraph 2, subsection B, Code Section 23, 255, the rules and regulations adopted by the Commission, promise to give the employment of utilizing information, training, and skill of the perpetrator that may be provided by the otherwise anything of the courts with the unless for the promise of the guarantee with the officer of the student with the respect with the student, bona fide contract with the employment agreeing with the employee said within perspective with the student with the special over the period of the time of the business other enterprise with regularly conducted him or her with whether there's such information training skill with a normal condition of employment to do any of the constituting part of the conduct with the administrator of the court for the obtained student with the chair over the and such person with reasonable shall know in favor of the incident with the conduct with the administrator of the courts over the can be carried out with the use of the fraud, deception, misrepresentation, any of the person soliciting the students of the without permit, granting offer with the grant with the pro-secondary with a degree, the diploma, certificate, honor with the unearned degrees without authorization to do with the grant or offer grant, post-secondary degree, the diploma, certificate, honorary, unearned degrees without authorization to do so by the Commission. No person or group whenever they shall be with a college, university authorization to do so with the Commission, when if so, doing so with July 1st, 1980, prior to July 1st, 1985. Otherwise, able to do so with the part with the non-post-secondary education, with the operating with the state with otherwise exempted for this from the Code Section 23, 253, so with the provision subsection. No person or firm institute with a sell butter exchange with a consider the attempt to sell with a butter exchange with a consideration post secondary degree with a diploma certificate. No person, firm, institution shall you with the attempt with a connection with a business trade with a profession, occupation, post secondary certificate, degree with a certification with a degree with a degree is credited with but not limited to the transcript with a course with a person, firm, and an institution known as initially obtained fraudulent material altered. Any contract entered with the person with the course with the instruction on behalf of the owner of the employee with the representative of the non-post secondary educational institute subject with the department with the certificate authorization has not been used to unenforceable, it shall be unenforceable in action brought thereon. Any contract with any with any person on the course of the instruction on behalf of the owner employee with the representation of non-public as second educational subject with this part certificate authorization has not been issued with is unenforceable in any action brought through thereon. Any person group with any with the owner officer with the employee with who violates code section 23 258 willfully fails or refuses the deposit of the executive with the record with the code section 23 257 guilty of misdemeanor each day failure of the comply with the code section with the separate violation, criminal offense with imposed with the court, complete jurisdiction, and with the brow with the attorney general of the district attorney, code section 23, 250, 8, application to operate in post-secondary activities. Alright, each non-post-secondary educational institution designing operate the post-secondary affidavit of the make applicant for the commission with the upon with the form provided by the commission and applicant for the company with the catalog of the written description published with the published of the institute with the contain of the information set for the paragraph 4 subsection A of the code section 23.250 share with the including the information required with the rules regulation commission so the application of the accompanied with the evidence already bound with the code section 23.250 code section C code of the section 23.250 27 the company with the payment of the fee with the code section 23.250 11 provide, however, the make an applicant for the commission with the authorization operative of the institution's certificate provision with the part pursuant with the paragraph of the 10 code subsection A with the code section 23.253 with the subsection code section 23.253 required to submit only the documents pertaining to the provision of the process institution with non-exempt, non-post-secondary with the education initiative with the operative with the conduct with the post-secondary with the activity include with the building initiative with the not previously operative with the conduct with the post-secondary unless with the institution with the time of the authorization operative with the conduct with the activity building and the branch facility application with the authorization operator the branch facility with the company with the catalogs of the written document the evidence bound with the required with the payment of the fee with the required with the initial application pursuant to subsection A code section. The following review is such application for the further information submitted by the applicant with the required with the executive director of the inspection for the physical facility inspection of the operating located within the state with the type of the investigation applicant with the executive director may deem necessary the inappropriate with the executive director shall with the give the grant with the dead and with the authorization after with the applicant with the executive director shall with the show with the degree for determining with the inspection physical facility should be conducted the show with the institution through the alternative methods including not limited to the remote inspection was conducted through the use of electronic audio visual equipment grant authorization after with the name be set for the terms and conditions executive director may specify authorization of the operation of the form of the recommended approval of the commission with self state with a clearly conspired for the demand of the lace of the following information data issue with effect with the time of the authorization with the name of the address institution authorizing authority to authorization condition thereof the limitation of authorization deemed necessary executive director of the executive director such person on the head of the destiny with the executive director with any other favor with the responsible for the representation concealed the part doomed to the executive director of the term authorization given over the next over the more than 1 year with maybe the issue of the less over the period of time of the authorization operative with the issue with the issue with the owner of the governing body of the applicant institution of the non-transferable event with the chain of the ownership of the institute with the new owner of the governing body of the 10 days after the chain of the ownership of the notified of the commission of the writing with the child within 30 days with the chain of the ownership of the making applicant to the commission new authorization to operate with the event with the failure to do so institution authorized to operate with the child to terminate applicate with the new authorization operative with the reasonable chain with the ownership of the institution and the purpose of the subsection B of the code section 23.2 for the 12 deemed application of the new institution operation authorized institution authorization to operate or at least 60 days with the prior of the expiration of the authorization operative of the institution believe the file of the executive director applicant with the renewal of the authorization of the rate with the site of the renewal application review the active with the added upon with the subsection C with the roof of the code section C with the roof after with the code section H with the new shooting not give the operation application the authorization operative file with the may not be given the operation conduct post-secondary application with the receipt of the authorization each non-post-secondary the educational institution with the granted authorization operative with the code and with post-secondary activity stay with the show of the team and authorization the executive director of the before the officer of any of the course officer of the institution only most recently the authorization was granted commissioned by the regulations shall establish receipt of the team of the authorization of such additional course offerings. Alright, we have 23.259 repealed reserve of the application of the person solicited with the perform service of the agent has been repealed. Surety bonds with the relief of the surety, the suspension of the bond and release surety. As part of the application for the new profit commission for the deck for the final assessment of each of the initiative of the commission for the initiative of the renewal of the authorization up of the rate of financial of the estimate of the finding with the not read for the concern of the staff of the applicant with the institution with the control of the recommendation of the applicant, so to play for the financial monitoring of the executive of the director with the hits or hers over the discretion with the requirement of the staff of the application of the file with the commission surety bond with the sum of the sum of the surety with the sureties ever the executive of the director may require such bond with continue with the fail will perform with the applicant with the obligation under the part of the rules of the regulation of the policy of the commission of the of the obligation included for the unlimited the issue of the duty of the regard with the responsible for the negligence for the proper management over the institution of the management of the internal control of the other requirements of the purpose of the bond show for the continue with the provide the identification of the tuition guarantee of the trust funds of the code section 23 250 27 of the student and enrollee comparison part of the guardian of the class of the air of the determinant of the stroke of the loss of the damage control of the any of the practice of the activity of the violation part of the rules regulation promulgated pursuant to the non-public so second of the educational institute with the bonding of the company over the pay with the non-payable of judgment with the commission with any of the court state with having given the jurisdiction of the receipt of the written notification of the bond for the worst of the time of the instruction of the closure of the jury with the recovery of the remit full face value with the bond with regardless for the number of the years, such of the bond with the force over the aggregated liability, sure with the no event with the extreme with the penalty, summons of the bond with the continue with the shove of the bond, extreme with the applicant with the principal of the surety company with the qualified authorized to do within the state, be at least B plus bonded rating with the shove of the bond remaining in effect for each of the institution of the rights of the operator terminated with the commission with the determined the institution from the issue with the bonding result of the satisfaction with the example of the director and then whole her sole of the direction his or her sole of the discretion. If the bond trial with the initial application for the operative with the remain with the respect for the physician with the applicant with the made with the renewal of the authorization operative with the unless the amount with the bond with the maybe the increase with the recover the increase with the gross tuition comply with the requirements set forth by the commission. Surety bond to be filed with the end of the code section and the cover of the period over the authorization operative with acceptance with the share of the relief of the provided code section with the share of the bound with the file within the code section with the may be released there from with the share of the reserve of the written no the example of the director of the 90 of the days travel the share of the relief the share of the release of the discharge or others effect of any of the claim thereof of the there and they're still enrolled with the personal parent with the guardian's class through loss of the damage result of any of the practice of the violation of the part of the regulation for gave the pursuant of the error alleged for the occur with the serve of the bond with the effect of the institution conceived the operation during the term of the tuition paid with the serve of the bond was in force. Authorization institutional operative with the second suspend the operation level of the institution no longer cover the charity bound will cover the code section when they example the director of the cause of the institution receive 30 days written over the prior release of the effect and authorization prior with the suspend of the operation level of the surety bound with the show with the trial with the same in the manner like amount with the bond being terminated. Collection of fees and established commissions. Fees shall be collected with the example of the director of the travel, the man with the established commission, with the commission with the staff with the authorized following fee with the schedule, with the fee with the initial, with the applicant with the renewal of the fee schedule, with the degree, with the granting, with the non-degree granting, the unpublished sick, with the education, with the institute, with the base, with the commission, with the relative cow, with the performance to do, with the role, with the go, with the category, with the institution, with those categories, based on the action, with the project, with the gross tuition, with the institution, special, with the evaluation, post-secondary education, with the fee, with the authorized in code section 23, 250, 27, special fees, with the officer, with the identifier, with the administrator, with the cost, with the all fees collected within the pro with the except for the fees pursuant in code section 23, 250, 27, responsibility with the director with the credit with the general fund with no fees collected with the religious part shall be refunded with the except for the provided with the code section 23, 250, 27 with the except for the indicate with the pro with the fees collected with the commission and no with the pro with the accompanying application for the authorization operative with the commission will pay the cost of the evaluation committees necessary to implement this part. Denial of the application with the example of the director upon the review and the consider of the application for the authorization of the written rule with the determined of the applicant with the meet with the criteria with the establish with the trouble with the example of the driver notify with the applicant same forth the region of the area with the writing show the denial with the application with the example of the driver make grant with the application renewal with the extension with the time of the region with the duration applicant with the may limited region with the region with the denial with the dominant with the save with the denial application for the demonstrator with the satisfaction executive with the director with the desire to meet the requirement code section 23 256 with the criteria with the pursuit of the paragraph 2 of subsection B with the code section 2250 5 with the judgment, except for the director will be reasonable the part possible the applicant to meet the stuff with the requirement criteria with such time. Reactivation, authorization, operate with a conditional authorization hearing. Authorization operative with the revoke of the main condition with the after the entry with the example of the director have for the reason will leave with the whole with the authorization validated violating and probably the aim of the rules regulation promulgated pursuant with the for the revocation imposition with the condition with the example of the director for the identifier with the holder with the authorization rising implemented with the action on the step forth with the grounds for the action contemplated with the be taken with the advising with the hearing and requested with the writing with the 10-day with the receiver the notice for the example of the director set with the time and play for the hearing with the holder with the authorization heard with the response with the allegation complying with the part of the rules regulation promulgated with the pursuant in this part. Hearing was requested to provide with the subsection A with the code section with the hearing with the conduct with the provide with the subsection D with the code section 23, 252, with the holder of the authorization have the right to set forth in that code section of the decision of the commission of the provide with the code section E with the code section 23, 253, with the denial final subject with the right with the judicial review providing code section 23, 250, 16. I'm 14 filing complaint against the institution and a person with claim of the damage level of the regulating with the practice non-post-secondary with the education with the violation part of the rules regulation person with the main file with the example of the director with the complaint with against the institution complaint with the file with the example of the race reasonable period of time with the determined regulation with the commission have the event given the review of the complaint with the complaint set for the alleged violation with the name of the other information with the recurrent with the commission with the complaint with the file with the example of the director with the commission representative with the attorney general with the complaint with the main also with the example of the director with the representative with the class with the plans. If you have the director investigate the stuff with the complaint with the main essay with the his or the truth of the attempt to effectuate with the settlement with the persuasion with the conciliation with the except for the drive with the consent with the complaint, pursuant with the rules, regulation, proceed with the promulgated by the commission. Is brave with the evidence with the hearing with the proceed with the director from with the non-post of the education of the institution has engaged with the engaging with the practice of the violation part with the rules, regulation promulgated, pursuant with the except for the director for the issue with the kidnap, the serve of the self of the institute with the requirement of the institute with the desist for such active prior of the district with the executive director found with a complaint with the class of the complaint for the self of the law for the damage resolved with the self of the practice with the executive director his or her with the discretion and war with the complaint cover the full claim full partial with the restitution for the damage loss over the impose of the penalty provided by the code section 23 253 21 if the may also over the property based on his or her own investigation of the evidence of the junction here with the base of the self of the investigation evidence of commencement over the action of the revoked institution's authorization to operate. Hearing a review of the commission with the denial of the authorization to operate. Any person that agree with the decision of the executive order received denial of the authorization operative to play for the condition of whether the initial application with the issue of the authorization record of the revoke institution authorization operative with any of the person agree with the position over the panel of the executive director under code section 23 250 21 shall have the right to the hearing of the review staff of the division commission with the code section. Upon the written notification such action for the take of the executive director with the agree with the part with the staff of the hearing with the review with the staff of the party notification executive with the agree with the reg with the 10 day with the agree with the staff of the action of otherwise such act for the deem is fine with the upon with the sheet with the notice of the agree with the part with the executive director with the cancellation with commission shall with the 30 day with the fixed time of the play for the hearing with the commission notified with the agree with the party of thereof and so for the hearing with the party employed with the council will have the right to have the evidence with the action with the base of the party present evidence of the opposition extenuation commission with the over the conduct shall for the hearing with the rendering of the decision commission appointed with the hearing offer the conduct of the hearing with the render with the decision on behalf of the commission such as the hearing of the office of member of the commission any of the person other than the director his or her staff of the designated with the by the commission by the rules regulation provided with the rules evidence with the order with the receipt of the file by the staff of the hearing of the member of the commission with the participating in such hearing pursuant with the part except with clear conflict interest by designated with the decision following the hearing with the exemption for the time of the demand with the hearing no such for the demand with the demean final with the right of the judicial review of the provided code section 23 250 16. All matters present on the hearing provided in code section of the act with promptly by the commission notify all of the party with a written decision with an include the statement defined with the conclusion of all of the material issues law with the discretion presented with the hearing with the appropriate rule order sanction and the relief of the denial thereof. Judicial review and final commission. Any person agree with adversely affected with the final action of the commission with the judicial review of such action provided with the code section action of the judicial with the commission for the name of the court competent jurisdiction for 30 days of the commission and to become effective upon finding with the irreparable injury with the result of the commission with the upon application of the postponement effective with the day with the pending judicial review of the court upon when the application with upon such room with the applied some security with the if the court finds necessary with the control of the issue with the appropriate process postponement effective with the day with the commission act with the preserve of the rights of the party for the pending with the conclusion of the review proceedings. The record of the non-review the otherwise with the recipient with the parties include with the original of the certified copy of the plating with the application for the rigs of evidence that was exhibited of the paper with the presumption with the commission with the decision findings action of the commission with the alleged procedural irregularity evidence being taken independently by the court find no error with the affirming the confirmation commission's action flying such action with the arbitrary with the completion with the display and denial with the statutory right with the contrary with the constitutional right with the power privilege immunity and except for the statute with the jurisdiction authority with the purpose of limitation not occur with the procedural limitation any part of the required by the law and abuse of the clearly unwarranted extra with the discreet and unsupported substantiated with the evidence for the record with the consent of the whole otherwise contrary to the law then the court hold the unlawful to set aside with the commission action so with the relief of the may be deprived with the decision of the trial court the subject of the appealative review same manner with the same effect as for the appeal with the final judgment decree with any other civil action. Discontinuation of the operation of the non-public secondary educational institution. On the development of the non-post-secondary educational institution in Ohio, with the operator can say with the purpose of discontinue the operation, chief of the administrator, with the officer, with the title of the designated the assessment of the institution, cover the file with the executive director, the original legible, true copy of the academic records, of the institution, with the maybe of the executive director, for the records include the minimum such information customary, the required college of the post-secondary educational, with the consent, rings due with the transfer, the advance, with the study, with the separate document, academic record for each former student. and remember the peer with the executive director of the show for the record of the institute for the discontinuing the operation of the danger of being destroyed, secreted, mislaid, otherwise made unavailable. The executive director of the executive director may with the current order receive and take possession of such record with the subject with confidential accord. Normal school record of the executive director shall be maintained with the cover, maintained with the permanent for office of the record coming into his or her possession. 18. Initial court proceedings by the executive director. The attorney general of the state of the district, attended with the judicial circuit with the non-public post secretary of the institute with the found with the recovered executive director, his or her own motion, bring with the appropriate action, proceed with the court with the competent jurisdiction of enforcement evidence part. With the shall appear with the executive order, person with a group of the entity with the violate with the heads with the violate again with the provision with the power of the laws, rules, regulation, or with the executive director may or his or her own motion with the written complaint with the person with file with the position, injunction, in the name of the commission, or in any of the competent jurisdiction of the state against the person, group of the entity with the purpose of enjoying with the stuff of the violation, order with the direction, compliance with the power with the rules, regulation, and order of the issue, pursuant to the name of the necessary with the executive director alleged, prove that his or her, he, she, with the adequate with the remedy law with the right injunction with the provide with the code section with addition with the other legal remedy with the executive director shall be in addition to any with the right criminal prosecution to provide with the executive director obtain with the temporary restraining order with the notice of the group, person, group of the entity with the affected existence of action with the executive director restrict with the alleged violation part shall be non-operating with the bar to action with injunction with the relief pursuant with the code section to this code section. Jurisdiction. Non-post-secondary education not exempt with the trouble of whether not a resident or habit the place of the business, some of the day conduct post-secondary activity with instruct with the educate with the others, offer with the instruct with the educate with the enrolled, offer the enrolled contract, other contract to provide instructional education services and administrate with web the instruction and the services are provided in person or by correspondent telecommunication, electronic media if to a resident in the state which offers the award educational credit for the resident state which submits such injury to the natural person with the personal representative to the jurisdiction of the court over the state with the concern of the cause of the action arising therefrom and the purpose of an enforcement part of the injunction for code section 23 253 serve the process of each of the institutions subject with the jurisdiction court of the state may be made personally serving in the summons of the defendant within of the outside within or outside of the state of the manner prescribed in chapter 11 title 9 Georgia Civil Practice Act with the same form for the effect of the summons of the person served within the state but nothing contained in the code section shall be limited to serve with the right to serve with the process prescribed in chapter 11 title 9. Funding for administrative of this part of the commission through the executive director shall equip the administration over the part of the general assembly with appropriate such funds deemed adequately necessary. 21. Fines in violation of the person and the owner of the employee who shall willfully violate code section 23, 257 and 258, who shall fail to refuse the deposit of the executive director of the record of the code section 23, 257, subject to civil penalty not exceed $1,000 each violation, each day failure to comply with the code section, separate violation, such fine with the main impose the executive director, administrator of the proceeding, and equal with the complete competent jurisdiction of the commission shall adopt schedule of the regularly imposed fines for the violation, probably have the schedule of the published of the executive director. 22. Validity of certificate authorization previously issued. All certificate authorization previously honored with the Article 3 of the Post-Secondary Educational Authorization Act with the 19th of the Article 4, Chapter 4 of the Georgia Priority School Act with the top of the article provisions existed immediately July 1st, 1991 shall remain valid until the expiration date with the top of the certificate renewed with the corner of the term of the power of the rules, regulations, the chain of the commission authorized in term of the rules, regulation of the allowable the transition part of the institution regulated with the aforementioned articles. 24. Compensation benefits and commission employees. All employee with the commission subject to the Article 1, Chapter 20, with Title 45 of the position with the executive director, several employee with the position determined with the commission exempt with the classified service position with the shell of the Article 2, exempt with the unclassified position commission, determined the shell of the other compensation benefits paid with the provide with the employee with the occupying with the position with the full-time employee with the commission for the member with the employee with the retirement system with the Georgia, exempt with the each retirement system in Georgia who without any of the breakage of the become a full-time employee with the commission, such employee with the continuing members with the teacher with the retirement system in Georgia. The position employed with the Department of Education system with the cell with the responsible management professional with the clerical with the service with the non-post-secondary with the ed school with the non-proprietary with the school with the program trained with the commission, such with the employee with training for the commission shall retain existing right with the rule of the chair with the personal board with the written employee with the retirement system of Georgia and with the teacher with the retirement system of Georgia. Transfer the record of the file with the account with the state of the Board of Education Commission with the L record of the file with the account related with the level of the administration of the Georgia Preparatory School Act with the Post-Secondary Education and the Authorization Act of 1978 trained with the Board Education with the Commission with the Executive Director. 26, with no limitation on this private with the professional licensing board authority, and nothing in this private shall be true with the professional license board authority granted with the Title 43 with the regulated governing curriculum course requirement, stricter qualification of other educational activities due with the non-post-secondary with the educational institutions. Tuition Guarantee Trust Fund. It is for the purpose, this one's actually pretty long, but we're almost done here. Tuition Guarantee Trust Fund with the purpose of the code section of the trust fund with the applicants of the post-secondary education and enable the institute to collectively protect the student with the financial loss of the post-secondary education club with the reimbursement the student without completing educational obligation of the student with the provide the consumer with the information after the determined of the commission of the prescribed currently enrolled student. Effective with July 1st, 1992, the Tuition Guarantee with the trust fund and the created participant fee with the receipt of the commission for the post-secondary education with the provision with the subsection C with the D with the code section of the deposit with the special account with the destination with the tuition with guarantee trust fund shall be held with the trust of the board of trustee for the with the paragraph to do with the subsection purpose of carrying out with the provision code section of the money with the fund with the invested say with the board with the trust of bonds of the security agent for the government of the United States with the bonds with the other security state local government earnings with the earnings so for the investing mess for the deposit with the security with the tuition guarantee with the trust fund with available to purpose with the money with the deposit with the fund. The fund shall for the dividends for the over the board of trust for the tuition guarantee for the trust fund with the board of trustee with the consent of the 5 members of the commission for the designee of the majority of the commission of at least 2 members of the June 30th, 2020 with the representative of the post-secondary education 5 of the members of the commission for the designee shall serve with the set for the terms of office of members of the board of the commission for the establish the rules regulation commission. 12.1 office of the designee of the chairman of the board, the executive of the director, shall with the executive of the director, secretary of the board, secretary of the board, of the members of the board must have the agreement over the order of the board to take with the official action of the commission when they rule regulation provide with another member of the commission serve with the place of the member of the board with the absence of the meeting of the board. All post-secondary education institutions and ability with the exempt with the provision of the code section 23.253 with the provision of the tuition guarantee fund post-secondary education institute with the possession of the paragraph 1014 subsection A with the code section 23.253 with the code section C with the code section 23.253 shall put the registry with the tuition guarantee fund post-secondary education with the tuition out of the rate to stay with the prior of the July 1st, 1990, whichever the main for the continuity authorization stay with the student with the July 1st, 1990 with the institution with the have of the continuously license since July 1st, 1990 with the pursuit of the provision Title 43 with the authorized by the Commission prior with the July 1st, 2022 with the participate in the fund with the civil network with the provide security with the bond with the providing code section 23.253.10 provided title with the any surety bond provided by the institution July 1st, 2021 shall remain in effect for the 1 year full with the effect of the day of the surety bond post-secondary with the education with the currently authorized operative with the state with the authorized operative with the state with the July 1st, 1990 with the participating fund 7 of the years authorized operative with the nation provided the head with the post-secondary education with the first authorized operating and stay with after on or after July 1st, 1990, fully participating in fund 5 years with before July 1st, 2022, with the required participate fund 7 years otherwise provided in paragraph. Following change of the ownership provided with the subsection F of the code section 23.258 with the post-secondary education with the may participate in fund with a period of up to 7 years with the determination of the director at his whole discretion. In addition to the other fee with the requirement by this pro with the commission of the regulations, double the fee with the pay with the only post-secondary institution participate the tuition guarantee with the one fee with the VA for the gross tuition collection of the guarantee period with each post-secondary institution with the institute with the operative with the full year with the participation shall be with the maze into the progress projected growth of the tuition first full year operation inclusion fisher with the first year with the fee with the over the simply just with the reflect with the actual gross tuition with the annual fee is established with the commission sufficient with the earned with the earnings still fund with the create with the balance fund with at least $10 million July 2040. The board trustees shall notify the commission of the funding exceed with the $10 million except with the otherwise paragraph 2 the subsection of the receiver shall with the notification commission shall with the collection participation fee with the post-secondary education institute with the contributed to the fund at least 5 years commission with the notification bureau for the board of trustee with the reestablished collection participation fund with the participating with the post-secondary education institute time of the fund balance at least $4 million. So it's fee with the collection with the participation institution goal of the schedule with the adoption of the commission base for the gross tuition of the sufficient raised by the fund of $10 million. The post-secondary education institute with the funding for the first authorized operative with the July 1st for the 1992 recover the participate with the funding step of the year with the authorized operation under provision paragraph 3 with the subsection with the code section with the recover the participating fee with the fund such period with the not with the amount with the tuition guarantee with the balance fund with the $10 million participating fee collected for each such institution according to the fee schedule adopted with the commission of the pursuant of the paragraph 1 of subsection non-post-secondary education first authorized to operate state after July 1st, 1992, fully participate fund in 5 years with the before July 1st, 2022, with the recovery of the participate in the funds of the years otherwise provided in this paragraph. Annual call for the incur with the commission of the broad, the trust for the administration for the tuition, and the guarantee for the trust fund, with the provide control with the information for the national, with the prospect, with the currently enrolled student, with the include with the student, expend with the incur with the collection of the defaulting post-secondary education, with the amounts paid with the fund on behalf of the student, with the pursuant, with the provision subsection G of the code section, shall be paid with the fund, with the broad, with the self, with the administrator, the call for the next with the 2.5% of the fund, during the fiscal year with the compensation issue for the report of the annually with the post-secondary education institution participating fund, with the proportion of the evaluation financial condition fund, with the summary claim with the provide paid with the other expenditure with the funding with immediately preceding the fiscal year. The commission shall have the money shall have the regulation last payment of the fee with the failure of the post-secondary education institution participation with the fee with the timely step of the regular commission with the payment of such fee with the application for the authorization operative with the renewal of the maybe to deny of the code section 23.2 with the T12 with the failure participation fee, the late payment of the fee with the pay with the form of the authorization operative with the revoke suspend with the upper condition for the code section 23.2 with the 13 failure to pay participation fees. Or in the vendor of the post-secondary education for the participating fund sees operation without funding, fulfilling educational obligations to without reimbursements to the board of trust for the reimbursement of the fund valid with the document claim for the two with the tuition fee paid for the institute with the cost and cover the patrol of the resuscitation operation call with the guideline proceed with the adoptive with the commission paying with the fund with the warrant for the state transfer the order of the board of trust for the maximum amount of the pay with the fund with the claim with the behalf of the two with the issue with the defaulting post-secondary education with the determine the commission for the not make sure with the 10% of the total fund with regard for the total claim toward claims. So for the total claim with the makes with the amount unless of the higher percentage of the authorized of the 2/3 majority of the weight commission in the event of significant precipitous closure. As an alternative paying claims on the behalf of the assuming the default of the post-secondary education for the for the broad of the traffic may arrange with the the post-secondary education for the complete with the education obligation to the defaulting post-secondary education is provided with the program and offer the other institutions substantial equivalent of the program with the students have paid tuition provided with the further for the other institutions and that kind of unreasonable hardship of the income of the unions for the students of the commission have the authority to adopt the rules regulation of the government with the board of trustees with the administrator of the provision paragraph of the part of the STARS program of the board of trustees for the reimbursement for the post-secondary education within the funding expended by the incur of the institution providing the educational service to student with the defaulting post-secondary educational institution tuition guarantee trust fund shall have an independent claim recover again for the defaulting post-secondary education institution with the assure the issue of the bond pursuant the code section 23 253 10 with the extent of the reimbursement for the post-secondary education within two with the extent of the pursuant of the paragraph of the, and without necessity and further action on the party. It shall not be necessary to claim the loss of the damage provided in Code Section 23, 250-14 with an order of the Board of Trustees pay claims on or behalf of the two with the pursuant of the provision of the Code Section proceed with the requirement of the falling claims under the Code Section provided by with the rules, regulations, and with the pursuant of the Commission. A person agreed with the decision of the board of trust to pay with the denial of the claim pursuant with the provision code with the man to do with the commission with the decision of the board of trustee with the in writing shall be made certified mail with the statutory over the night delivery of the claimant with the owner to default of the post-secondary educational institution whereabouts to be the owner to default of the post-secondary education with not known with the cannot be reasonably asserted with the board over the trustee with the donors for the decision of the public legal organ over the county of the student claimant at the time of the default of the post-secondary education with the institution facility with the institution appeal with the commission with the commission with the filing written such a with the commission of 30 days after the receipt of the written decision of the board of trustees. 30 years after the receipt of the notice of the appeal of the commission with the decision of the board of trustees, bound for the day after the decision of the board to overthrow the decision of the board of trustees. Person agree with the action of the commission shall have the right to additional pursuant of the provision code 73 23 250 16. Commission shall adopt the rules for regulation providing control of conduct for the appeals of the board of trustees with respect to the regulation with consider the provision of this paragraph. The Board of Trustees shall issue with the biannual report with the governing members of the general assembly providing some of the financial condition of the fund and claims extreme of the proceeding biannual service reports shall include during regular shift of the general assembly during each of the numbered year beginning in 1994. Tuition guarantee for the fund except for the license income of the franchise with the privilege occupation of other ag taxes level except for the table of any of the county municipal the other public subdivision with the table of the payment claim refund participation with the tuition guarantee funds for the non-exempt for the taxation such the payments that were from the exempt for taxation provision law and independent with the provision of this prior authorization post-secondary institution after the suspend with the written notice as if the director of such institution failed to participate funds recovered under this code section. Alright. Alright, that was part 3, 23, 1A, non-post-secondary institutions.